Ever since I started dabbling in leathercraft, I've always wanted to get my hands on a leather splitter. Back in the day when I could only afford a single hide in a single thickness, I always thought it would be great to have a splitter so that I could split multiple thicknesses from one hide for different projects. So a few months ago, I was approached by the team over at Weaver Leather Supply to see if I'd like to review some of their products. And naturally I said yes and asked to review this leather splitter. I wanted to answer those questions I had all those years ago and see if this machine would scratch the itch I had when it came to splitting leather. Although this machine was sent to me, all of the opinions and thoughts about this machine are my own, and Weaver did not have any input or watch the video before I posted it. With that being said, thank you Weaver for giving me the opportunity to review this machine. Okay, so for the last month, I've been testing the splitter out with these questions in mind. 1, build quality. How will it hold up over the years? 2, how hard is it to maintain? And 3, will it suit my practical uses, and is it worth the money? I knew that this machine would be built well. I own several Weaver machines and they are all built to last multiple lifetimes. They are made in the USA with premium materials like steel, brass, and aluminum, so I knew right off the bat I wouldn't run into any problems in the quality department. The welds are strong, the components are secure, and the materials are top-notch, leaving me with a confidence and peace of mind for years to come. I find that these machines are simple with not a lot of moving parts, so if a problem did occur, it wouldn't be hard to find a solution or get parts to fix them. Overall, it's a 10 out of 10 for build quality. With any machine, there's inevitably going to be maintenance somewhere down the road, especially with machines that have rollers or gears or blades. I haven't had this machine long enough to do some serious maintenance. However, the design and layout of this machine is very open and accessible, which is great. There are yellow dots all over this machine that indicate oiling points for the different gears or moving parts that need some love every now and then. This process doesn't take very long, and you only really need to oil the machine when needed. The other part of the machine that will need maintaining is obviously the blade. Removing it is quite easy. There are a couple of thumb screws and a bolt that hold it in place, making it very accessible and easy to take it in and out. One thing I was worried about at first was sharpening the blade. I did some research and found out that you don't have to hollow grind it every time. There's actually a video that Weaver put out showing the process of using a buffing compound and wheel to sharpen the blade, which is actually quite easy to do. If you don't have a buffing wheel, you can also use an oil stone by hand using circular motions to sharpen the blade. Another option is actually sending it out to Weaver and they can sharpen it for you as well. Reinstalling the blade back into the machine requires a little bit of calibration, and this process is quite simple with the 2 calibration gauges that come with the machine. There are also instructions that are provided in the box, and if you have any questions, Weaver is always happy to help out. Overall, the maintenance of the machine is actually a lot less than I originally thought. Okay, now for the fun part. What practical uses are there for this machine? There are 3 main reasons I wanted to try out this machine. Reason number 1. One problem I was facing was not having consistent leather coloring in multiple hide thicknesses. So for example, I would get a piece of leather from a tannery and love the color, and then get the same leather in a thinner weight and the color was completely different. This would frustrate me to no end. I'd have a product that required multiple thicknesses, but now my product would look two-tone rather than a single color. Sometimes the differences in color would be so bad that the leather looked like a completely different color altogether. Splitting leather from a single hide eliminates that problem. So for a bag or a journal, the thinner parts can be split from the same leather the main body of the bag is made from. This keeps the color consistent and makes me happy. Very happy. Reason number 2. Making straps for my satchels always presents a problem. Sometimes the 2 different thicknesses I carry just won't do. One hide is too thick and the other is just too thin. I like to double up my pieces of leather together and stitch them to make straps. It's not really necessary, but I like the look of it. Splitting the heavier leather, which is typically 6 to 7 ounces, down to 4 ounces, and then doubling that up fixes the problem. Having a strap that is now around 8 ounces instead of 12 ounces is perfect for my needs. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Alright, reason number 3. Making leather linings for certain products. You can actually split the leather down thin enough to line a wallet. It's crazy. I don't line wallets much with leather because I could never get a thin enough piece or a nice enough looking piece with my bell skiver, but now I can. This opens up other possibilities for future products or ideas, which is always fun and exciting. Okay, let's talk about the things I don't like. As much as I like this machine, there are certain limitations or things I just really don't like. Number 1, it's only an 8-inch blade. It would be nice to have more width. I would like to see maybe a 12-inch blade, but where does it stop? I mean, 16 inches, 24 inches. Number 2, you have to split more than 1 ounce at a time. So you can't split a 5-ounce piece down to a 4-ounce piece. Because of the way this machine is designed, the bottom roller is spring-loaded, which doesn't allow for this kind of splitting. It's not like a band knife splitter where you can dial in and split the exact thickness no matter what thickness you start with. Okay, number 3, price. This is a little bit tricky because it's built in the US, it's a high-quality machine, but the price is a little bit high. Here's the thing. If you're using this tool a ton and it's making you money and it works day in and day out, it's worth every penny. I have multiple sewing machines in my shop and one that is over $7,000. That's the one I use the most because I trust it and it produces the best results every time. If I needed another machine, I wouldn't hesitate to buy another one because I know it's a moneymaker. Do other less expensive sewing machines work? Yes, of course. But they have issues with them and I am working around them constantly, and I ultimately choose not to use them in some cases. There are always cheaper options out there with whatever you purchase, but it all comes down to you and how much you actually use the machines. For me personally, I don't split much leather, but when I need to, this machine is perfect for my needs. But everyone is different. So who is this machine for? Well, I think that we can all come to the conclusion that someone who needs to split a lot of leather constantly. I don't think this machine is for a hobbyist. If you split leather a couple times a month, this is not a machine for you. This machine, in my opinion, is for the leather crafter who is constantly needing multiple thicknesses from a single hide. Someone who will benefit from splitting leather a lot. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Overall, I think this machine is immensely capable of great things. It's very robust, splits leather super clean, and will last for generations. It's definitely a tool that I will use in my workflow for various projects, and I'm thankful for it. Weaver Master tools have been a huge part of my shop for years, and I'm looking forward to owning more in the future for as long as I keep making. Check out their website for their entire tool and machine lineup. Well, that's it for me today. I hope this information was of value to you and that maybe you learned something you didn't know before. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today in my shop, and I hope to see you in the next one. All right, God bless. Peace.